Today on the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, we're in a run-up, you guys. Wandavision is coming out in less than a week.
What the hell?
Holy crap, it's so exciting. It's coming out this week. We have new information about that and future Disney Plus series. More to talk about, as well as your feedback.
Welcome to the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. My name is Matthew Carroll.
And I'm Jeff Randall.
Jeff Randall, how you doing today, buddy?
I ate too much today, sir. I'm feeling rough.
That's no good.
It's great.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't realize.
Because, if things are okay, then you're eating them enough, right?
Yeah,
and
eat your feelings, they say.
When you've got so much food that you can gorge on it, it's a great day, right? I think that's how being a panda works.
Yeah, that's true. Pandas, we eat bamboo.
It wasn't bamboo that I ate. I'll say that. Anyway.
Well,
beside the point. How are you?
Oh, man.
We're here for you.
Thanks, buddy. Like you said before we started the live, let's turn this into a therapy session for me. No, I'm here for some escapism and to talk about this stuff tonight. But yeah, I had a really hard week. With my father passed away this week, and I just wanted to say to everybody out there that
fuck COVID.
Fuck COVID fully. My dad died of COVID because he didn't take it seriously and wouldn't go to the hospital. So please be safe and take care of yourselves. My mom is still in the hospital fighting, and it's looking like she's probably going to recover to live, but she is probably never going to be able to live on her own again. Like, it's that bad.
Damn.
So it's a really crazy time, and we're trying to figure out, like, they were taking care of my niece too, so we're like trying to figure out, like, what do you do with a 10-year-old girl? It's been a really hard week, and on top of that, Alyssa, my partner and girlfriend, is moving to Dallas. So it's like my family is falling apart, and my girlfriend is moving to Dallas. So like just a bad week, just overall. But I wanted to say thank you so much for all of the support and love. It got mentioned in the chat. I mentioned in the chat, and I canceled trivia because of all this. And I got a lot of love and support. And I did want to also thank Ashley, bringing you into the video, Ashley. Ashley, thank you for posting. I would have never asked for help in this time. And you know
you're
that.
Terrible
I know.
at it.
I'm really bad at asking.
I didn't even tag you in the post. I was like, I was almost not worried that you were going to get mad, but it's not. Well, you would never,
what you did
so I did
was
it
very
for
sweet.
you.
She posted in the Stranded Panda chat just my Venmo and PayPal and Cash App information because to help the family out. And I just was sitting here in front of my computer and started hearing my phone ding, and I looked down, and there were just like 6 or 7 Venmos sent to me from pandas just saying condolences and this is for your family and this is to help out. And a lot of people continued to do that over the next day. And so to anyone who did that, I think I've been trying to write you all a personal message and thank you. And I wanted to thank you all in the cast too, because that really will help out. It's, like I said, really crazy time and there's a lot going on, and my family really appreciates it. It's going to be interesting to see. We just got my dad buried, but it's crazy. My dad's buried, but my mom couldn't even be there. She's in the hospital. So we're just it's so hard and weird, man. And it all still doesn't feel real. And the love and support of the pandas both was already felt very strongly. And then thank you, Ashley, for that. That did honestly make me feel loved and supported and safe and protected, and I appreciate all you guys. So thank you, Ashley. Thank you to everybody who participated in that. Thank you. And let's get talking about Marvel because I need some escapism. I'm fully here for it. I'm engaged. Let's do it. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
What do we have?
Well, we got WandaVision coming out this week.
What? This week?
This Friday. We have 5 days until the premiere. And you know what the worst part is? I have a meeting on Friday.
Oh, no.
Like, it's a team meeting, like, to organize how the particular department that I'm basically going to be running is going to function.
Yeah.
So I can't miss it. And like, I've already expressed my rage to my boss. I was like, you son of a bitch. Why would you do this to me?
So is that during the day or in the evening?
It's at like 10:30 in the morning.
Okay.
And it's the worst because I'm going to stay up. Like, I'm going to pull a Nathaniel Muzzy, a Brian V. Klein, or whoever. I'm going to pull one of them and watch it at like 2 a.m. or whenever it drops.
Do we want to stay up and watch it when it drops and then podcast about it?
Well, here's the problem, though. And one of the things that I want to talk about is that Marvel announced that it's going to be a 2-episode.
Oh, that's right.
2-episode starter.
That's
or a 2-episode premiere.
Yeah. We just found this out.
So I don't know that we can. I don't know that we can stay up that late, or I don't know that I can stay up that late and still function the next day.
So I can't stay up that late and still function. But what I could do
is get up early.
Is get up at like 6 a.m. Like go to bed early, get up at 6 a.m. Watch
like Christmas morning.
Yeah, like Chris. Let's Christmas morning this thing. We watch 2 hours and then we podcast at like 8 o'clock, and then we just go all the way through.
It's like the content that we're getting, the fresh content, is our Christmas present, and like the day before it's WandaVision Eve is what it's going to be.
Yeah, WandaVision Eve, and it's also Feige Claus comes down the chimney and deposits the WandaVision for us into our stockings.
Yep.
And our stockings are our eyeballs.
A little bit at a time.
Our eye sockets. Sockets? No.
No, that sounds weird.
Yeah, no, I think I'm down with that idea if you want to try for it. Like doing a 6 a.m. thing. And I think that maybe an Ashley can't be there. I'm guessing, right, Ashley? Because you have a real job.
I'll be at work, but I can support you from afar.
But we'll still do a feedback episode somewhere during the week. But we probably will try to live stream the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So along with that, Matthew, you're gonna be excited about this.
I'm very excited.
So along with that, it's a 2-episode premiere. So far from what the press is saying, because they got to see the first 3 episodes, sons of bitches. They're saying that the episodes are like around half an hour, maybe a little bit longer than half an hour.
Okay.
So it's a 2-episode premiere, but the first season, or the season of WandaVision, is going to be 9 episodes long.
What?
Yep. It is going to be 9 episodes long.
Oh my gosh, this is nothing but good news. We got the fact that we're getting 2 episodes at once, and now instead of 6, we're getting 9 episodes. That's 50% more. WandaVision.
I was looking at the calendar. That puts it running all the way up to March 5th will be the final episode.
Okay.
I don't know when they updated it. I don't know. I wasn't watching. I looked away for a second. I came back. Disney Plus has Falcon and the Winter Soldier debuting March 19th.
So 1 week off.
So 1 week in between
the
last episode of WandaVision and the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
That's freaking awesome.
Matt, that's so exciting.
That really, really is exciting, man. I cannot wait. I've been wanting this for so long, and this is awesome. This is freaking awesome.
Yeah. This Friday begins, like, this is the year we turn it around, you guys. This is the best year.
Yeah. This is maybe this is best year ever, right? Like maybe this is
2021 best year ever.
Starting WandaVision, except for the very beginning where all this stuff happened with my family. Maybe from here on out.
We're making up for it. Making up
for deaths in the family with WandaVision.
It's all of the Marvel content. It's not just one.
That's true. You're right. Oh man, dude, I'm so pumped. And I really, really could use the escapism in a way that's probably like more than ever. And so I'm just so pumped for WandaVision, and it's just gonna go straight through. Got a whole year of Marvel content coming.
Yeah, and looking at the schedule, like if they keep doing this kind of thing, we're just going to have content, almost every week, just constantly. Like we might have 1 or 2 weeks off in between the series.
Yeah, they originally told us 6 episodes for all those shows. I wonder if this 9 episode thing is across the board, or if it's going to be, just this one, or if they'll be different depending on what they want to do. They really don't have to have a standard.
From what I understand, Falcon and the Winter Soldier is going to be 6 episodes. They just announced that WandaVision is 9 episodes, and we don't really know much more about any of the other series, except that there was an article recently that said that one of the directors that they had tapped for She-Hulk was going to do 6 of the episodes, and then somebody else was going to run the other, like all the rest of the episodes.
Okay.
So that indicates that She-Hulk is going to be more than 6 episodes as well.
Right. Okay. And She-Hulk being a 30-minute comedy, I felt like it was probably going to end up being more episodes.
Yeah. It makes sense that would be a longer season.
Yeah, for sure. Man, I'm so pumped. Oh, and any other? What else is in the news? I'm like hungry for this good news now.
Well, there's one more thing. The lead cinematographer of the Moon Knight series, Gregory Middleton. I don't know what he was replying to or like what he was responding to on Instagram, but he said he was basically like, "All right, cat's out of the bag now." He said, "The secret's out. It's an honor to be a part of introducing a new character to the MCU, but." He's confirmed that Oscar Isaac is going to be Moon Knight.
He's going to be
the character of Moon Knight.
That a lot of people, I heard some people asking, like, "What do y'all think of this?" I don't know, and I'm like, "This is such good news,
right?" Oscar Isaac is so good, and he's going to be so good in that role.
Yeah, I totally agree, and he's like a huge name star. Like this is not some nobody. You know what I mean? Like. Which I'd be okay if it was a new person, but the fact that they went so big with a big star like Oscar Isaac, like that means they are investing in this show and this character, and it probably bodes better for crossover stuff than if they, if they had not been doing that.
Yeah, well, like having his name, like you were saying, like that gives a little more oomph to it, a little more credence. That star power is going to bring people to the character, and really, like, I like that they're going to shine a light on the character, Egyptology, the like Egyptian mythology. The all of that, like, really cool shit that you don't get into about the moon god Khonshu, but also like the big thing that Moon Knight is known for is being a dissociative personality disorder. Sufferer, afflicted, I don't know what to call them, but like he has dissociative personality disorder or dissociative identity disorder rather, and like could be a real champion for mental health in pop culture,
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely some representation there, and if they do it right, I just feel like Oscar Isaac probably wouldn't have signed on if he didn't feel like they were doing it right.
Right.
And didn't have a good game plan, didn't have a good way of attacking that sort of a theme. Man, that's just I think Oscar Isaac's great, and this is just good news. Man, all good news. All good news from the Marvel front, right?
All good news. That's what I've got so far.
Sweet.
I don't know that I have any other news that we really need to talk about.
All right.
There's a couple of things like, they're ramping up for WandaVision. So you see a bunch of clips and things like that have been hitting the web.
Yeah. Which I think we're going to do a short, like kind of WandaVision, most last minute, what drop clip episode here in a couple of days after we drop this one. So
they put up their first clip called Night Vision, which was really cute. And then there's an article that's like, talking about how the opening credits is recreating the Brady Bunch opening credits.
Nice.
And like in all of the interviews, Kevin Feige is just like, talking about how much TV he watched when he was a kid. Like he grew up on things like the Dick Van Dyke Show and I Love Lucy and Bewitched. And he's like, we're riffing on all of that. We go up to Modern Family. We got the Office style stuff, the talk to the camera, shaky camera documentary style. It's like we're riffing on all of it. And I was like, oh crap. I don't know how they're going to put all these different like themes of television together and these different styles. But, you know, according to all of the press that have watched it, it's amazing. Like all of the reviews that I've seen of the first 3 episodes are like, this is the greatest thing in TV since ever.
Dude, I'm super excited. Like, it just seems like they're doing something that sounds really complex and interesting, but also fun, and it has these big stars, and it's connecting to this universe that we all love. Like, I couldn't be more excited for a show than I'm excited for WandaVision, honestly.
I think one of the important things to note on that is like it's connecting to this universe that we love, but not only is it connecting, it is influencing and driving this network that we love. Like, yeah. Or this interconnected universe that we love.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, Daredevil talks about the incident, you know, when the attack on New York happened, like they mention it, but nobody ever mentions Daredevil.
Yeah, this will directly affect Multiverse of Madness, if nothing else, and Ms. Marvel, because Monica Rambeau and
Captain Marvel
or is Monica Rambeau in Ms. Marvel, or is she just in Captain Marvel?
I think Monica Rambeau is in Captain Marvel 2, but Captain Marvel 2 is also going to have
Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel,
yes. Okay, sorry.
What's her name?
Kamala Khan?
I forget her name. No, it was the actor's name.
Oh, I don't know.
The actor who was playing Kamala Khan, I forgot her name.
I can't remember.
I'll look it up. She's just Kamala Khan now.
Yeah, she's just Kamala Khan. Iman Vellani, yeah.
Iman Vellani.
That is the actress that plays, or that will be playing
Kamala Khan. We had a piece of feedback, by the way, which I am sort of embarrassed by. Theo Harris wrote in on Patreon and said, Kamala Khan is an Inhuman. And we were talking about, on last episode, about how we were like, you know, nobody liked the Inhumans. We don't know that they'll do the Inhumans again. And I think we were talking mostly about the royal family. But at one point we did say something to the effect of like, we're not even sure if it's going to like connect or the powers are going to work the same or the Terrigen's going to be the same, you know, all that stuff. And they're like, when will they do Inhumans again? And someone was like, this year? Thank you, Theo. That and I think he's the only one that wrote in too. So I was like surprised because yes, Kamala Khan is an Inhuman, and we were wrong last week when we were like, when are they going to do Inhumans?
They're never going to touch Inhumans again.
Yeah, they're going to leave them alone. It's going to leave them alone for a while.
Except that Kamala Khan's an Inhuman.
Yeah, except for this year.
Except for except for right now.
We dumb. We done
goofed. There's one more like rumor that came up.
Oh yeah, what you got?
It's a rumor that I'm going to put a hard grain of salt on it that you can take with it.
Okay, so grain of salt rumor, not confirmed.
Right. It's reported by Murphy's Multiverse.
Okay, never heard of it.
They're one of the ones that I usually steer clear of, but this is such a fun thing.
Okay, so
that I want to talk about it.
We are in no way giving it credence.
I'm in no way endorsing the credence of this particular rumor, but it's a fun rumor. It is that actor Elijah Richardson is rumored to have been cast as Eli Bradley in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Okay. Eli Bradley being the Patriot in the Young Avengers.
Oh, right. And... Oh, okay.
And you remember, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, I was saying, like, what if they take the Patriot's backstory of, like, his grandfather, if they just, like, take all of that and just apply it to Sam? And you were like, well, you continued to bring up you can't keep combining characters and, like, you know, you run out of characters eventually if you keep combining them into a smaller, you know, group or whatever.
Right.
So they may not combine that into Falcon, you know?
Yeah. So he is playing. So Elijah Richardson, who I don't know from anything. I'm looking at his IMDb now. But he is going to be in as Eli Bradley. The name of the Patriot.
Eli Bradley.
Interesting.
The Patriot.
That is really interesting. because that's a whole new character we're not expecting in this version. That's cool.
But it makes sense, it's a character that, is inspired by, or kind of like really strongly tied to Steve Rogers.
Yeah,
Captain
for sure.
America, and then like could very easily be inspired by his sacrifice and all that jazz. But
that's true. That's true.
Could pretty easily come up with the whole, like, the legacy of Captain America is actually troubling because, they tested it on my grandfather's platoon.
Like he might, the conversation we hear where he's talking about it, it may be because he meets Eli earlier in the show.
Yeah, man, if Sam has to have that conversation with him.
Yeah, I think that seems like what's going to happen, right? Like if we heard him talk about the legacy of that shield is complicated, and it was like, and that's, I was like, is it? Are you talking about just Steve was such a great hero? Because I know in the comics the legacy is complicated, but not really in the series, in the movies. So that adds to that line a lot. Interesting. Cool.
It would, because like if Sam has to have that discussion with that kid, and then has to kind of reconcile the how he feels about Steve and everything that he's done. Basically the idea that he has in his head of who Steve is, but then that legacy that Steve was building on, or that Steve was pushing forward.
Which is something that I think that could be a really interesting and cool way to look at the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show, or for an idea for them to tackle. Because I think it's an idea we're dealing with more and more in our country as we deal with all this stuff, all the racial unrest from this year. And even now, like just all the stuff of our historical figures. I just keep learning and reading more about our historical figures. And it's like some of the men who did great things in our nation's history
did horrible shit.
Also were horrible monsters. It's not, monsters isn't the word. The idea is that they were men, and they could even be heroes for their day. But the problem is we always move forward. We always progress. And so, like, looking back, some men had really big issues. I mean, the obvious example is half our forefathers are slave owners, probably more than half. I know it's not all, but many of our forefathers were slave owners. And like, that is a complicated history, and I know like everyone wants to tear down the statues and all that. And I get why you want to do that. But at the same time, I get why people on the other side are saying, don't tear down our history, and there's this this battle happening. And the actual truth is you have to have a conversation and recognize the complicated history of our country. It's complicated. Like, a man can be two things. A man can move the ball forward in such a cool way for democracy and create a more egalitarian society, but can still hold horrible racist ideals. And then like you have to like move past that. And then we're always progressing as a society. And I think that like this show is kind of poised to make that statement about come in a complex way, not a simple way. And I don't know that they will, but it sounds like they're at least going to touch on it.
They could, if this rumor pans out.
Oh, that's true. That's right. This is just a rumor.
Yeah, we have to remember that this is just a rumor.
Yep. Sorry. When we got to talking about it, and I forgot. I illustrated, and that's the problem. People start confirming things, and I'm just talking about the idea. And if it's true, it'd be awesome. I do think there's got to be something to the idea of him saying the legacy of the shield is complicated,
Yeah, there's got to be more to it. Like, there has to be something that's causing him to say that. That's not just, I don't know that I can live up to that ideal, because like that particular issue, hesitation, whatever you want to call it, that was covered in Endgame. It was that Steve was like, but it's your shield. Like, him saying, you shouldn't be afraid of taking this because you're the only one that makes sense for this to go to. Like, I am Captain America. I endorse you having this.
Yeah.
Like, That's the obvious, easy answer that he needed. And he was like, yeah, okay, I'll try. So the fact that he said, yeah, okay, I'll try is him taking it on and being like, cool. I have really big shoes to fill. I've got a lot to live up to, but I'm going to try. He's already covered that. So that complicated legacy has to be something else.
Yeah, I think so. And just given the moment we're in, it seems like they're going to they would be trying to make some sort of statement with this show. And so I would love to see them tackle it that way with a lot. Eli Bradley, that'd be awesome. So before we go into our feedback section, Ash, is there any feedback in the live stream chat that you'd like to throw out?
I do. I have about 2.
Yeah. What you got?
Okay. Muzzy Nat says.
Muzzy.
Or asks, do we think Miss Marvel is going to retcon / erase Inhumans from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Oh. Killing me. My heart. It hurts. It hurts to think about that, but honestly, probably.
All right. I'm going to bet that they will walk a line. Well, here's the thing. It's going to be the test, because will they walk a line that just allows both to exist, or will they just straight up cut ties with the other universe? Like, that is the thing we're watching for, right? Because if they do that, they're literally saying everything after season 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. never happened.
Yeah. Well, everything after. Because the easy thing would be like, well, I ate some fish and then this happened.
Well, everything after Drippy Hands dripped from that bathtub, McDrippy Hands, will have no longer happened in this universe, and we will have to really wrestle with the fact that, like, all those years of watching that show, that stuff is no longer valid.
Yeah.
Not that it's no longer valid or good TV, but like that it is no longer part of this universe. Yeah. So
we will have wasted 6 years.
I had a great time. I won't say wasted, but like, yeah, it's
completely wasted all of our time. We got to delete those episodes. We no longer have 500 episodes.
We're now down to about 46. Sorry, guys. Yeah. No longer hitting that 500 benchmark. Okay, cool. What else you got there, Ash?
Okay, next is from Harmony Harm. It says, I have my thoughts, but I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on if Vision is going to be alive, with quotes, after WandaVision. Watching the Jimmy Kimmel interviews, Paul Bettany isn't in London with Elizabeth shooting Doctor Strange. I had a hard time thinking that Wanda / Vision would leave each other's side after recent events. So if he isn't in London, ...
Well, I hate to do that kind of a casting thing where, like, I hate to look at like who's where and who's in what country, because sometimes it is too revealing. So you may be right. Mm-hmm. But I also, there's lots of explanations. There's lots of ways that could be. It could be that they realize that this version of him isn't him. This is her projection of him. But now they enter the multiverse and they actually can go find Vision, or like it could be that it ends. It could be the multiverse of madness ends with a resolution of her getting him back.
And I'm pretty sure he lives in London.
That's just his accent. Yeah, man, I have a theory. You want to hear it?
Sure. Theorize
away. So Paul Bettany has been part of the MCU since 2008, right? So he's probably, I don't want to speak for him, but, these stars tend to get a little tired of a particular role being, a recurring thing. So he might be moving on. But one of the photos in the promo materials that was on the wall in WandaVision had a nest with 3 eggs in it. 3. We've seen repeatedly 2 kids, right? 2 kids that Wanda and Vision have. And we know that Wiccan and Speed are those kids. But what if another version of Vision is the 3rd egg? And we get kind of a rebirth of Vision through this new character. And kind of like his his Vision family in the Tom King comics, where he
Right.
made his family.
I feel like that could get a little too Gomorrah, right? Like if he's like a new version of himself and he loses these years of character development, but maybe that's not what you mean.
I mean, it's not like Vision, the same Vision in you, but like the next model who learned from Papa Vision, so to speak,
Right.
and they call him Vision, and he's kind of built the same way, but it's a new character, and a younger actor in that role.
Yeah. I'm seeing Harmony Harm, who asked the question, talking about this in the chat, and I agree. I don't want this character to be gone. I really, really love Paul Bettany as Vision.
We just got him.
We really did. Like, he's been in so few films, although he's been in all of them. You know what I mean? Like, the character has been in so few things. I really would love to hear more, see more from this version of Vision.
Honestly, it's not even that he's been in so few things, it's that he's had so few focused storylines on him.
Yeah, he's got no real character growth. I mean, definitely some, but like...
He was born yesterday.
He was kind of born yesterday. There's a big Hollywood problem where like they always have these older gentlemen like in their 40s dating girls in the movies that are in their 20s. It's like a thing. But in this case, in many ways, in the characters, Scarlet Witch is the one that's doing the cradle robbing here, right?
Yeah, this should be illegal.
It's a little dicey.
You're running into some potentially problematic territory there, Wanda.
Okay, well, we're going to be right back with lots of feedback right after these messages. And we're back. So, we got a whole bunch of feedback in the old hopper there, and I guess let's just run down it and talk about as many things as we can.
So Joel Martinez Jr. says, if they do introduce the first Marvel family in Spider-Man 3, I'd love to see them take a paternal-like role and shield, see what I did there, him from the numerous people hunting him by giving him a suit. And he'll be paperback Spider-Man for a small duration of the film. What do you guys think? By the way, longtime fan of the podcast. I've been listening on Apple Podcasts since S.H.I.E.L.D. episodes days. Love you guys. Glad I made it to the YouTube.
Yeah, sweet. Well, thanks, Joel. This is our first direct feedback from YouTube. Paper bag Spider-Man. Do you know what this means?
Yeah, it was.
Is it a run in the comics or something?
Yeah, it was a weird thing where Peter was like part of the Fantastic Four, kind of. Like they gave him a Fantastic Four suit, and he had a paper bag over his head. So
I'm seeing the pictures
see.
now.
I'm seeing the pictures too. This is pretty amazing.
It's real goofy.
It is so goofy. What's going on here, guys? Why are you so goofy?
Some goofy shit.
During Spider-Man's identity crisis story arc. That's when it happened.
That's amazing. This is an amazing thing that we need more of in our lives.
He was Bombastic Man? Bombastic Bag Man. That's the actual name.
Bombastic Bag Man.
I love that so much. The Amazing Bag Man.
I don't think that they'll make that a long-running thing, but there's probably going to be a reference to it. If not in this movie, then whenever he and the Fantastic Four get together.
That would be really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I like it a lot. And for everyone on the video, here's Spider-Man. I mean, here's Paper Bag Spider-Man.
Bombastic Bag Man.
They have a Funko Pop. I wonder if Brian VK has one.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Matt, that's from... that's the skin and loading screen.
From the game.
Spider-Man video game, yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
I recognize that pose.
Yeah. That's awesome. So that is pretty amazing. I would like to, Why? Is it just because they all... I don't understand this. This is so weird. It's such a weird thing to do, to have a paper bag on your head. It's just a Fantastic Four suit, but it's Spider-Man inside with a paper bag on his head with big angry eyes drawn on it.
Yep.
This is such a weird, like Deadpool-esque sort of thing. Like, it's very strange, right?
Yeah, it's basically like Muzzinat said, I think he had to change fast. It was one of those, like, I don't have time to figure out what to do with this kind of suit. So I'm just going to stick a paper bag on my head, because the Fantastic Four, like, they just wear their identity out in the open. Like, everybody knows who they are.
So it's like a one-time thing. It wasn't like he did this all the time?
No, yeah, this wasn't his, like, lasting costume or anything.
Yeah, when I looked it up on Spider-Man Wiki, it says the spare Fantastic Four costume, also known and dubbed as the Bombastic Bagman or the Amazing Bagman, is a costume Peter Parker had to don as a result of being separated from the alien symbiote in the Baxter building.
Okay. So he was probably using the symbiote as his mask, and then he had
like you do.
Yeah, he was out of reach from his costume and is forced to fight crime wearing a paper bag on his head, again referring to himself as the Bombastic Man. So that was self-named.
That is so funny. That is very Spider-Man, very funny. I love it. I hope so. To answer your question, I hope so. I hope we get Bombastic Bagman. Thank you, Joel, for making us aware that existed. I did not know. All right, what's up next?
The Razor's Edge on YouTube says at 22 minutes into your video, that mirror is in the bar area of Tony Stark's Avengers Tower. And this is the mirror in the Loki.
Yeah, Loki trailer.
The Loki trailer. This is it was seen in a scene in Endgame and was in the first Avengers movie. So does he visit Tony Stark or visit himself to take back the staff that had the Mind Stone in it? Because you can see that in the mirror.
What do you think? I did not catch this at all, but there's a mirror. It's like a weird sort of mirror with a bunch of smaller circular mirrors built into it.
Oh yeah, if you look at that in slow-mo, I don't know how we missed it, but when I watched it again, you can see all of the reflections of the Avengers Tower. And that mirror is in the scene in Endgame when they're sneaking in. When Tony's sneaking in, that mirror's like right there.
Yeah. So it's in a couple of different Avengers movies. I did not catch this when we did our trailer breakdown. We are failures. But
when you're too close, sometimes
so many things that we missed from that trailer. That trailer in particular.
Oh man, that trailer.
The L at the board, like maybe that's for bowling. When if you look at it, it looks like Loki was above his throne. Obviously, it was the L for Loki. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh well,
we were too close.
I still think it's a Loki thing, a bowling thing though, right? It's a bowling alley, totally a bowling alley. But maybe he knocked all the other letters off.
Maybe it's like a tank girl kind of world, and he's like the trash king.
That's what it looked like, yeah. Really did.
Brandon Drum says at MCUcast, what if it's more like Truman Show protecting Earth from Wanda than her own fake reality? I don't think it's that, because the radio voice comes through and says, Wanda, who's doing this to you?
Well, we talked about this a couple weeks ago about the idea of them doing like a using the scroll technology, and I really like that theory. I don't really feel like it'll be that, but this kind of reminds me of that like they've got her in a pod trying to protect the world from her powers. And
this is her Tahiti.
Yeah, exactly.
This is her magical place.
While she's dealing with this horrible grief. Maybe it's like she's running a scroll program that's supposed to get her over some of her grief.
This will help you process your grief kind of instantly.
I kind of like it, actually. I kind of like this theory, actually. Like, she gets out and finds out that like this all has been a software to help her pass her grief, like, and help her like deal with processing the death of Vision.
Yeah, but if you're not like aware of that when you're in it, is that really, does it count? Is it ethical? You're going to be mad about it coming out of it?
But if you I've seen things before like this where like you find out at the end like who put me in here, and then you're like you put you in there. You chose to go through this or something like that. You know, we offered you this program and you took it because it was going to be something that like healed you, and you were And then like we get a flashback and she's like freaking out. You were tearing holes in the world. And then you needed to calm down, and you chose to do this. Like she thinks it's people suppressing her, and we think it's people suppressing her.
Yeah,
in the end, it's not.
It's not Truman Show. It's not. That's not the Jim Carrey thing. It's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless WandaVision.
Yes, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless WandaVision. Thank you. Good call.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. You nailed
it, you guys. Oh my God.
You nailed it.
I think it's going to be that sad too.
It is going to be that sad too. It really is.
So Dapo came and hit us on Facebook. He said, I hope this is the right place for feedback for this cast. There was talk about how Eternals and Deviants might link to mutants, and here's my take, which is half based on the actual comics. In the comics, the Celestials created the Eternals and Deviants through genetic tampering with the Homo sapien species it found. But they were also responsible for the creation of the X gene. It is stated that the Homo sapiens had unusually malleable DNA, and they played a lot with it. Well before the Kree came and got had their go at creating Inhumans, and now if we keep this as gospel in the movies, it could be that the X gene was much harder to activate and almost needs a double dose of certain energies like the stones, which is how Wanda and Pietro were created. But maybe in the past, when the stones were on Earth, it could have inadvertently triggered others like Magneto and Xavier. We know that the Tesseract was on Earth and being meddled with by scientists, and the mass awakening of more mutants is then due to the two snaps that happened on Earth in Infinity War and Endgame.
I like this. I like this a lot, and I know we've talked a lot about changing the background of Magneto, but if you think about it, like, you could easily connect the Tesseract getting extracted in the 40s to the creation of someone like Professor X over. Well, he's from Britain, right? In the comics, Professor X, is he from London or Britain?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't.
Is that just just in the
I think
movies?
I thought he was from New York.
He's from upstate New York.
But he's British in the movies.
It's just for the
right?
movie. I mean, are we going canon on Fox here?
No, I don't know. I that's my question.
Never ever accuse Fox of being canon.
I'm asking because I only know that's like. Yeah, you're right. No, now that I think about it, every other version has an American accent that I can think of, like from cartoons and such. Yeah, that's just because they hired Patrick Stewart. Never mind. I failed. So my point stands that if you had an American Professor X, the Tesseract was in America all that time, and you could easily see somehow he interacted with it. And at the same time, during World War II, Red Skull had it, so you could see that creating Magneto.
Man, yeah. What if Magneto was in the prisoners that he had that Captain America helped escape?
Yeah. What if there was just some experimentation going on, which we know there was lots of different super soldier experimentation going on. What if they were trying to use the Tesseract in that way, and that could have excited Magneto's X gene? Yeah, that's a good theory, Dapo. That and of course you could make every other mutant have some sort of interaction at some point with a different Infinity Stone. The Tesseract's been on Earth forever.
Ever.
I mean, since what was it? Something AD, some distant past. That.
Oh yeah. Because it was in that
tree,
that box in the World Tree.
Yep, exactly. So,
or not in the World Tree, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, in the wall, the wall carving of Idrisil.
The relief of Yggdrasil.
Yes.
That's how you got to say it like he did. Very forceful.
All right.
Let's see. William Colby Carter's. William Colby Carter said, at MCUcast, I agree with Ash that Pitch Perfect 3 was not a good movie for Haley.
Not her not her most shining moment.
Yeah.
Not what she got nominated for an Oscar for, I'll tell you that.
This was not an Oscar-worthy performance.
Certainly not. Was anybody in Pitch Perfect 3 or any of the Pitch Perfect movies an Oscar-winning performance?
Jeff, have you seen the cup scene?
Yeah, Fat Amy. She's the best.
You know, I can say with certainty that I have not.
The first one's great.
Would you say it's pitch perfect?
Right on key or tone. Ah, stop it.
Right on brand. Andre Sparks sent us an email today, guys. So I found this animated Avengers show on Disney Plus called Future Avengers. And in the show, they introduced Kang by him coming back to the past because he couldn't defeat the Inhumans in the future. So do you guys think that that would be an interesting way of introducing the Inhumans to the MCU? I know you guys think it would be a more Young Avengers reason, but the way they did it on the show made it very interesting. Can't wait to hear your thoughts. Take care.
Huh.
I haven't seen this. Let's go watch it right now.
Yeah, we'll be right back. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, it sounds like exactly the way he always comes back. He's normally coming back to fight the Avengers in comics, it seems like, and he couldn't defeat them in the future, so he comes back to time he can or whatnot. So it sounds like they just sort of like, at least this version of Kang in this particular moment needed to come back and fight Inhumans instead.
Right.
Does he mean just generally Inhumans? Because the show's still called Future Avengers, so I don't know. Like with Kamala Khan coming, we're getting Inhumans in the main like verse, unlike what we talked about last week, apparently, because our brains
completely
shut down.
Like throwing out our last episode.
Yeah, completely throwing away everything we ever said. Starting over, episode 1 of the podcast. Here we go.
We really need to. Let's just redo all of that because, like, we talked way too long on Guardians of the Galaxy, just like recapping the movie. We shouldn't have done that.
MCU cast reboot.
Yeah, we need a reboot. That's what we need. Crisis on Infinite MCUs.
But I totally think that they could need to come back. I just don't know that we're going to get the team, the Inhumans, for a while because of the way that show went. Even if we do get Inhumans. So I have a feeling it's going to be about the Avengers, and the young Avengers that it looks like it might be building towards might have some Inhumans on the team.
As long as no one's there to buck it up, we might get a good Inhuman story.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't know how they didn't know. You know, like
Buck.
No, that's what I mean. How they didn't know not to give him a second show. You know?
Like, they didn't watch Iron Fist at all, and they were like,
feels that way. It feels like they didn't watch the dailies. They were getting back from Iron Fist, and they took him straight. Also, let me say this. In defense of all creators, because I know creating is hard, and I've never made a TV show, but like, they did have him make 2 Marvel TV shows really close together back to back. So, like, maybe there's a little something to be said for, like, maybe he took on too much. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe he signed the contracts before Iron Fist was out, and they're like, "Uh-oh, guess we got to follow through with it."
Well, they can always like kick someone off a project, though.
I don't believe it's that he took too much on and couldn't handle it. It's that they gave him work at all. That was the problem.
All right, moving on.
Because he killed Dexter.
That's true.
Shh. Spoilers.
You don't like the way they ended Dexter either. That last season of Dexter got weird.
Yeah. He's responsible for Dexter going very downhill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Arlo L says, "Hey guys, I just rewatched the Morbius trailer and I'm actually really looking forward to the movie now. I know it may not mean anything, but both Tom Hardy and Jake Gyllenhaal are listed as being cast members by Google. What are your thoughts about the movie as a whole, and who would you like to see make a cameo?"
Man, I think it's becoming more and more clear to me that Google casting is just complete BS, right?
Right?
Every time we look at Google, we're like, hey, this is on Google. Like, how does Google get things so wrong? I don't know. It's weird.
Well, it's like Google is taking We Got This Covered articles, all of them as absolute gospel.
Exactly. It's taking a bunch of BS articles and making them fact, which is just weird. It's weird for Google. I guess Google is all about like crowdsourcing all the information, so I guess that's why.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Google's like, Google takes the information that's on the internet, and if that's what's being produced the most, then
Right.
it
Doesn't matter if it's true or not.
Right. Like this is how you fool the bots. You just put out a bunch of bullshit, and it's like, well, that's obviously what's the thing. It's like it's kind of how Brexit happened. Like nobody thought it was actually going to happen. They just were like, I'll vote for it. Whatever. It's not going to actually happen.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh shit, we voted to leave. Oh man,
it will forever be a like stain on human nature and the way we think about things. When I think back to the day after Brexit, the thing that was searched most on Google in the UK was what is Brexit?
Yeah.
Like the vote had already happened and the most searched thing was what is Brexit?
Whoops.
It's just really sad.
It's kind of it's like oh god, was it Leno that did it? That was like went around on the street was like, do you want to end women's suffrage?
It was Jimmy Kimmel, and it was back on the Man Show. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They walked around they were doing an end women's suffrage campaign on the streets, and because suffrage sounds like suffering, people did not know it meant voting, and a lot of women were coming up and joining in on the fight against women's suffrage.
I love clips like that. Jimmy Kimmel does it a lot.
Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel's funny with that stuff. He's really good at like just interacting with other humans and making them be the humor. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I think Jimmy Kimmel's like crazy funny, but like he does a good job making a show. It is pretty funny, if that makes sense. Okay, so Arlo asked us about Morbius. What are our thoughts about the movie as a whole, and who would we like to see make a cameo?
I'm excited for this movie. I like vampires.
Well, then wait for Blade.
Yeah, but I like many vampires.
I like all the vampires.
I like Jared Leto when he's not being a complete psychopath.
Is he not going to be a complete psychopath, though?
I mean, that stuff he was doing during the filming of, what was it, Suicide Squad? Like, he was sending, cast people weird, gross stuff.
Yeah.
Pretending that, like, just be a good actor. You're a good actor. Just do that. So,
just do
I don't
that.
know. Yeah.
Don't be a method actor. Just be a good actor.
And we know Vulture's going to be in it because he was in the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm interested. I like the poster of Spider-Man and it. What did it have written on the poster? Like, it was something bad over Spider-Man, like traitor,
something like menace or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in the story that they're going to try to make.
I think it was.
Murder. That's it.
Okay, so Morbius is made by Sony fully. Like it's the Sony baby, right? And you never want to call the baby ugly to the parent's face, but that baby is probably going to be ugly. Like I don't like that Sony is trying to force Morbius to be in there. I already didn't like it when they made Venom without any kind of connection to Spider-Man already. And like Venom is interesting because of his connection to Spider-Man. And I'm sorry, their connection to Spider-Man, like the symbiote and the person Eddie Brock.
Yeah.
Like that's what makes him interesting. When you just throw out like, it's an alien that it's a symbiote that connected with a person and now they're eating people. Like that's not a Spider-Man. That's not even a Marvel thing anymore. You're not like,
it can still be an interesting character. It can still be a fine character, but like that is our way into Venom has always been through Spider-Man.
Right.
And they took that away. I thought the movie had some good points, but was just not great. And the point I think is just that like Sony, without Marvel's involvement, has not yet made that many good decisions.
Right.
I think the Raimi movies are good. Spider-Man
2 with Alfred Molina was like a gem of a film, but it was like it was rare happenstance that became so good.
Yes, I mean I think the first Spider-Man movie is really, really good as well. And even the third one, it has some major problems, but like also some of the things people rag on it about are not so bad. it has some weirdnesses because Sam Raimi likes to make things weird. Like all that stuff about after emo Spider-Man dancing and stuff. Yeah. I love that stuff. That is
me too.
That is Sam. That's just Sam Raimi being Sam Raimi. I agree. I don't mind that stuff at all. People make fun of it, and I think it's like so funny.
It's supposed to be campy.
Exactly.
He's a shemp. He's shemping it up.
I don't know what shemp is. You mean the...
It's like the overacting. It's supposed to be that. It's meant to be camp. It looks comic booky. It does.
And I absolutely love... I love all of Sam Raimi's stuff. And I just think that he does a great job. And like there's the main stuff that doesn't work in that is that they did sort of shove too many villains in a thing so no one villain gets their due, if that makes sense.
Yep. Well, like you had symbiote suit Spider-Man or Dick Peter Parker, Penis Parker, if you will. I got there.
You got there.
I got there. You had Penis Parker in there. Like that's the main story is that he's such an asshole, but then like he's being super funny and you're laughing at him. But then you've got this like incredibly like serious character in the Sandman.
Yeah.
And like his gripping story kind of juxtaposed against this ridiculous Peter Parker going around the city being a dickhead. And then
the tones don't match up, and then Venom feels totally out of place.
Yeah, Venom should have been split off into two movies, to be honest.
Agreed.
But then Harry, being the way that he was, like you just try to do too much all at once, like too much movie for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't great. But then, like, we're talking about Morbius and Venom.
Let's talk about Morbius a little bit. And I think that, like, I don't know. I have not been convinced that they can make a movie that is unconnected to Marvel and, like, not creatively controlled by Marvel and do a good job with it. I am hopeful because Tom Hardy is super talented. Jared Leto is super talented. Michael Keaton's super talented. And all these characters are interesting. I don't know. It's weird too because Morbius is supposed to be a vampire, and like just like we always talk about with like the Inhumans and the introduction of the Inhumans and how you become an Inhuman, it looks like he's going to be a vampire, but by some sort of mystical medical procedure or something. And that seems weird. Like, and we have Blade coming, so like, is that going to line up with the way that vampires
exist? A different kind of vampire,
right? Like, are they? I don't know. It just feels like, just like is my biggest problem with all these universes that sort of put the cart before the horse is like, is it going to make sense, or do they have a plan, or is it just going to be kind of a muddled mess?
Well, I think Nathaniel Muzzy said it in chat just now. Morbius is not actually a real vampire.
He's like the living vampire.
He's the living vampire is what they call him. But it's just that, like, much like all of the rest of Spider-Man's villains, like if some sort of scientific procedure happened to make them, it's that they are a crude knockoff of that creature or that particular thing. Or that like the horror trope or whatever. Like they're kind of a photocopy of it, a cheap photocopy of it. They're not that genuine good Kinko shit. You know what I'm saying? High gloss pictures, much like Sony. So it makes sense. But
yeah.
So all that to say, like they could well be doing kind of that Quentin Beck thing of like we say it's multiverse. And he says it's multiverse, but it's not actually multiverse. It's just some guy being all mad at Tony Stark and putting on a show. So this guy could be saying like vampire-like tendencies or vampire-like system, but not actually as vampire. But then Blade comes out and it's like, oh shit, now he's actually that guy's actually dealing with vampires.
Right, exactly. Okay. And as for cameos, I would like to see Tom Hardy. I know in many ways I don't I don't know. I don't know how this is all going to connect. I don't know how all these movies connect. And if the multiverse, it's got the Vulture in a prison suit. So I'm assuming that is our version of the Vulture, which means if that occurs, that means that this version of Morbius is in the main MCU timeline, at least according to Sony. So, Yeah,
but then you get into the same Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of thing where, like, we say it's part of the timeline, but then Marvel's like, nah.
I really don't want that anymore. Like, why can't they make a tight continuity? Why? Sony, I'm mad at you.
Well, like, I feel like Sony is just kind of capitalizing on the success of the MCU in that, like, hey, we own Marvel properties still, so it's connected.
I'd really like to know what happened behind the scenes on all that stuff where, the head of Sony was coming out saying that it was all, they were going to make these movies and it was all connected. And Feige was like sitting quietly and like, I don't know about that. Like, you remember that interview where Feige looked like distressed that Sony was talking about these movies being connected to the MCU? Do you remember that interview? No? Just me?
I do. It's he and I think it was Amy Pascal.
Right.
We're sitting right next to each other. And she was like, oh, yeah, they're all in the MCU. And he's just like, his eyes are getting really big. Like, we're going to have to talk about that when we get home, Amy.
Yeah, that really is the vibe I got. Like, we'll talk about this later. I don't know about all this. And, but it looks like they just kind of let him get in the back door of the MCU with Spider-Man. And now we just kind of have to deal with that. So.
It's like they made that claim on TV and he didn't say anything. Because he didn't want to like neg her right there, but because he didn't say anything, he's letting you let it happen. You just let this happen.
You let this happen, Feige. We trusted you.
Damn it, Feige.
We trusted you.
We trusted you. You betrayed us. Tuscan Radio says, I'm rewatching S.H.I.E.L.D. and in the scene where Enoch dies in As I Have Always Been, Coulson and Daisy talk about watching their friends go first. I realized that that's the writers talking about being the last Marvel show after the cancellation of the Netflix shows Runaways and Cloak and Dagger.
This is a fun theory, but I would push back on it for two reasons. First of all, it wasn't the last one. They still had that demon show that we watched, Hellstrom. Yes, you still had Hellstrom on the air, but
I still haven't watched all of that.
And it's cute. This would be cute, but honestly, that scene is pure artistry. I don't think they were doing any kind of cute nod and wink. Like that scene is one of those heartbreaking death scenes I've ever seen. And I went and watched it after I got this message just about an hour ago. And as we talked about at the top of the cast, I just had a major death in my family. And man, this scene is heartbreaking. It talks about how, yes, it's lonely to die, but it's a lot lonelier to stay around. It's harder to be the one that stays. And like, man, it's just heartbreaking, just absolutely heartbreaking. And I really, really love that scene. I was glad he sent me the YouTube video because I do love it. I'm glad I can share that with other people now.
That one was the episode that Elizabeth Henstridge directed as well. And like, that really shows her chops. Like, she did a hell of a job on that one.
Agreed. 100%.
Man, why you gotta bring us down?
It's just an amazing scene. Scene.
It's like, now I'm sad about Enoch again. Considerable amount of sadness.
Mm-hmm.
So Dalton Bieri said, hey guys, just wanted to write in with some thoughts on all your X-Men predictions. Good luck. There's a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this next sentence. If you actually combine all your predictions, and I'm like, uh-oh, what are we going to do here? Go ahead, Dalton. Hit us with it.
If you actually combine all your predictions, you have a pretty good story in hand. First, think of mutants and X-Men as separate groups. Mutants could have technically been around forever without public knowledge. This would be a great place to bring in stories about Denzel, Magneto, and Professor X. As time goes on, the world is getting larger, and here's where the conversation of the X-Men and the next generation of mutants comes into light publicly, especially with bigger threats to come. By separating the two, you could actually bring on more opportunities for team-ups, etc. I just thought I could help summarize all your thoughts. Keep doing what you're doing, Dalton.
So is he saying that the X-Men would not be mutants, or he's just saying that the X-Men are a subset of mutants, which is true?
I think it's that the X-Men do exist, but they're more
public facing.
I would say they become more public facing, and they have been like background kind of thing.
Or I think he's saying here that the mutants have been background all along, and now that the X-Men come up out and they're like this public thing that goes public, and yeah.
Could be.
I think
he's also saying that like we need to combine all of our theories together. And honestly, we've had so many theories, I don't remember them all. There's a couple that have stuck around, like Guinan as Professor X would be amazing.
Whoopi.
That's Guinan.
He's saying Whoopi is Guinan, Guinan is Whoopi.
Oh.
Right. Much like Cap is Chris, Chris is Cap.
Yeah, for sure.
I had to put it in terms you could understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All roads lead back to Cap and Chris.
Indeed they do.
That's fair.
All roads lead back to dead ass.
What we really need is somebody to like go through all of our old podcasts and like bring all of the X-Men theories together to write that film for us. And they probably have. It's just going to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, that's what Feige's doing.
Feige's doing that. He's just like, man, these guys are good.
That would be a mess. That movie would be an absolute mess.
It really would.
Yep.
I think it'd be great.
Well, thank you, Ashley.
Arlo L is back again. Says, hey guys, I've been watching all of Chadwick Boseman's movies lately, and I was wondering what you guys have seen him in. If you haven't already, I highly recommend Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, where he gives a totally Oscar-worthy performance. Love you guys, Arlo. P.S. On a totally unrelated note, my fan cast for Doctor Doom is definitely Michael Fassbender. He and McAvoy were the best part of the X-Men movies.
I support that 100% for Doctor Doom too. I just wonder if they could do it. He would need a big character like that to break out of the Magneto stigma, because he was so good as Magneto.
True.
So many people will just see him as Magneto.
I think it's going to be really hard for him to play another big signature villain like that without just being the same. Like, he'd have to really play it differently.
And it's a shame too, because he'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's so intense.
Fox really put him in the wrong role.
But I thought he was I love him in those movies. He doesn't have a bad scene in those movies.
No,
I think he's great.
Yeah, he's absolutely great. What's your bad scene?
Well, yeah, what? Perfection? Is it the perfection part?
You just don't like You just don't like those movies. But he's great in them.
Nah. Like, if you recall, in Apocalypse, the blue forest scene, where they were trying to make it Twilight, but it wasn't.
That's not his fault.
No, you're right. It's not his fault that the cinematography was bad.
Yeah, I think he plays that.
Bad.
He plays all that wonderfully, though.
It wasn't necessarily that he wrote it poorly, in that scene should have come like, in the last movie or 2 movies ago, or whatever. But I just.
You just don't like it's exactly what I just said. You're just refusing to admit it. You just don't like the movie. It has nothing to do with his performance.
Yeah, no, he killed all those guys with that necklace.
Great.
I was like, oh.
Well, that's all we're saying.
He is great.
That's all we're saying.
Fassbender is great.
Yes, he was a good Magneto, and what's his face was a good Charles Xavier. Like they did a good job in those roles. It's just such a shame
that the writing was not good.
I hear what Jeff is saying. We said he doesn't have a bad scene in those movies. I think we mean he does not have a bad scene, as in. It's just a difference in interpretation of our sentence. We're saying he is great in every scene he's in, regardless of the scene.
And if you had said that, I would have been like, yes, he is a fantastic actor.
Okay.
And he's great in that role. It's just a shame that the writing was so bad.
As for Arlo's other question, I have not seen Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I saw him in 42. Chadwick Boseman.
The Jackie Robinson movie?
Yeah, that was great.
Really
Get On
wonderful.
Up was good.
Get On Up was really, really good. I watched those 2 the week he died. I kept meaning to forever, and I just find it hard to have time to watch anything but MCU.
Yeah, like I saw him in Civil War, and he was really great.
Yeah, really great. Really great in, Endgame. No, he's wonderful in everything I've seen him in. I would like to see I'd like to do exactly what Arlo's saying here and just like get through all of his movies because he really is a wonderful actor.
I was really looking forward to 22 Bridges.
Yeah.
Because that was like him and the Russo brothers.
Yeah, me too. Did you ever see it?
I just never watched it.
Yeah. We'll have to get it sometime and watch
We'll do that on Pandavision.
Yeah, let's cover it on one of those things. We could do a Bingers Assemble where we do all of Chadwick's movies.
Oh, man.
Ooh, there you go.
That'd be good.
And just cry the whole time.
Yeah, it's hard to watch his movies. I think it'd be easier now, but for a few months I was really raw about it. It was really sad.
It's still real sad.
Yeah, it is, but with time heals all wounds, as they say. Makes it easier with time. 084 said, just had a thought I hadn't seen anyone come up with. What if Mordo is pulling the strings in WandaVision? Until next time.
Who's doing this to you, Wanda? Mordo.
I kind of like it.
Well,
it leads into Doctor Strange 2, which I keep saying they're doing so much with Doctor Strange 2, it seems. Like, I don't know how Mordo is going to fit in. You know what I mean? So, like, what if he's using... What if he's trying... what if he's not just after sorcerers from this reality? He's using WandaVision to open up the multiverse to take out sorcerers from all realities.
Then you get into a Spider-Verse kind of thing where what was that guy's name?
Exactly. You get into a Spider-Verse kind of thing, which is what they're doing.
Yeah.
It looks like.
Well, there in the Spider-Verse comic, there was a guy that was going around killing all the Spider-Men of the different verses.
Right. But as I was getting at, like, if Mordo is involved, like, it could be the sorcerers he's after, and I don't know. Just sounds cool. I dig this idea a lot, actually. What if
Mordo went down this super dark path where he ended up becoming the like one of the avatars or champions of Mephisto, and we get like a Mordo versus Agatha Harkness kind of thing.
Ooh.
Yeah. And maybe Agatha in this case ends up being like sort of on the opposite side.
Yeah, like she's fighting against Mephisto.
Right, and therefore fighting against Mordo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this sounds really cool. Man, I'm so pumped. We got only a few days away from this show, like four days, and we have a 9-episode run coming. This is just so freaking exciting.
The first 2 of which are this Friday.
Wow. So pumped, man.
I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. All right, that's about all the time we have for the feedback. Let's see if there's any in the live chat feedback. Ashley, how we doing in the live chat? Is Ashley frozen?
She's frozen.
Ashley, you were
Am I frozen now?
You were frozen. No, you're unfrozen now.
Good now.
But it was funny because
so funny.
Like you haven't talked all the whole time, and then we were like, let's cut to Ashley, and you were just like,
It's funny. Okay,
frozen face.
I'm back.
Okay.
J. Scotty Farrell had an interesting comment, and he said, Elizabeth Olsen has been on record saying that the series will tie Wanda more closely to her comic origins than any of the other films. That said, I'm fairly certain she'll be the source of the world alteration.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that they're going to tie it in with the comics.
That does sound... So there's two things that immediately... He said the comics origins... and maybe he misspoke, but that means mutant, right? Like, will we get mutant stuff in this in WandaVision, you think?
I hope so.
Maybe.
Maybe that's why her and Pedro could withstand the whatever was done to them, because they had the mutant gene in there somewhere and they just didn't know.
Yeah, and it just
and
activated.
it enhanced their enhancement.
Or it could be that her comic origin of like being a vessel of Chthon. Or was it Chthon?
Right, that's true.
Which one of those old gods was it?
You know, we keep talking about this scene where she sees her origin, where she sees like she's in her suit from the end of Winter Soldier, and you see the stone, and you see it explode and all that stuff. What if we get a little more information during that? What if that's like, let's say Agatha Harkness or someone with with more knowledge than her, like is showing her history, and she shows her what the X gene is. What if like one of the resolutions of this show is that like you are not alone, just like we have all these you just like you're part of a bigger X universe that you might not even you don't even know it yet. Yeah, you don't know it yet. What if we get something like that ties it all together and pushes us into future mutant related endeavors?
It could. Man, there's so many ways that they could go about this.
Yeah.
There's so many possibilities, there's the Mephisto route, the just straight magic route, the chaos magic bit, they could be introducing mutants, there could be a no more mutants thing, we could be in the verse that is House of M, where like we're not sure what the old version of the universe was,
Yeah.
Like there was that theory.
That. And somebody wrote in with that theory once, and I love that. There's so many ways to go, and Wanda is such a complex character that I really just don't know what they're gonna when they say closer to the comics origin. I don't know what they mean.
Which one do you mean?
I have no idea. And by origin, they may just mean closer to her origins as a character, which is the comics, like her comics origin. So maybe it just means they're going to bring her closer to her power set, which seems to be true.
I've read that.
Yeah. So like that's a whole nother way of looking at this sentence. Okay. No idea. That sounds,
we're going to find out.
Yeah.
So soon. And then my last one is Vibrant Jax, and he asks, do you think we will see Hawkeye or any scenes of Budapest in Black Widow? And if there is a post-credit scene, what could it be? Changing directions.
I say yes to Budapest.
I don't know that I want to see Budapest though. That time in Budapest, I don't know that I want to see that, because like we've got such a fantastical version of it in our heads of like, we can all suppose like what happened in Budapest, but because we don't concretely know, it can be the most fantastic version of it, in all of our heads, and
sure.
we don't get let down by reality.
Yeah, it's one of those like you know enough about their backstory. They have this Budapest connection without ever actually explaining it. We don't need to know that her that her name Romanoff was given to her by a guard because she didn't have a last name or whatever.
Yeah, we don't need a solo story.
Yeah.
I just ignored the solo joke.
Oh,
that's fair. That's fair. It's probably the right thing to do.
Totally fair to do that.
Honest.
Yeah. Was that all the feedback you said?
That's it.
Sweet.
Yep, that's all the feedback we got.
Sweet. All right. Well, thanks everybody for writing in. Thanks to live chat for watching. We'll be back real soon with a short episode of talking about these two WandaVision. We got like a little teaser, and we got like a little clip, apparently, the first moments of the show, it seems. So like that's exciting. And we're going to do a quick breakdown, sort of frame by frame thing on next time on the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. And thank you to everybody for the love and support that you sent me this week. It really, really was so meaningful to me with my father's passing to get all the just the emails and the love and the texts and the just whatever. So many people made me feel loved and supported. And honestly, just to get real with it, my family has always been this big bustling house, right? Where like there's always been like 6 people living in this little 4-bedroom house. Like it's always been a very busy house. Even when I moved out, my sister had 2 children and she stayed living with my parents her whole life. So there was just always like 5 to 6 people living there at all times. And to go down there this week and like my niece went to college, my father died, and my mom's in the hospital, and my other niece is 10 years old, so she's obviously not there by herself. So it just suddenly like it felt like I had no family, like like really sad, and just kind of like going down and like this is the home I go to for Christmases and Thanksgivings and where I go home to. And I got there and there's just no one there. Everyone's gone. And no idea when anyone's going to be back there. And so it made me feel very unmoored and and alone. And so having my Panda family reach out so much and say so many kind things and so much support and love made me feel very kind of re-moored me and reconnected me. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for those who went so far as to give some gifts. That was very, very kind and too kind. But I love you all 3,000. Thank you.
We love you, Matt.
I love you.
Until next time, true believers. Matt, you got too real there.
I did. I apologize.
You got too real. I started to tear up. You got to quit.
I will stop. I will stop being real. Thank you for joining us for the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, available everywhere you get podcasts, and now a video version streaming live on twitch.tv/strandedpandatv and available at youtube.com/strandedpanda. And if you'd like to learn more about all of our other podcasts, geeky projects, and ways to support the network, visit strandedpanda.com.